This is my audience.
Camping has always been a very important part in my life. Sometimes we'll go tent camping, and other times we'll take the motorhome, especially if it's a longer drive. However, not all of these camping trips have been normal in the traditional sense, and one particular one that comes to mind was when I was 11 years old and we were heading on the way to Lake Wallowa. We were passing through Walla Walla to visit my grandmother on my dad's side. And before seeing her, we were driving through downtown Walla Walla, and we were driving into the sunset. So my dad, who's currently driving, couldn't see very well. And I was in the far back of the motorhome, and all of a sudden I heard this loud bang. And as we were driving down the street, this overhanging branch had hit the front of the motorhome and had cracked the entire windshield. So we pull over to the side, and we're trying to assess the damage, and we call the police officer, let them know that there's an overhanging branch, and we get everything figured out and we keep driving. We end up seeing my grandmother, and then we get to Lake Wallowa, and it's dark at this point, so we set up camp and then we go to sleep. And in the morning we wake up and we look at more of the damage. The crack on the windshield has spider webbed to cover at least one half of the windshield, and it was on the passenger side, thankfully, so my dad could still see, but it was starting to spread. So we thought the best way to remedy this would be to take clear packaging tape and tape the inside of the windshield to just try and hold whatever could be held together. So we did that, and then we left the motorhome and we went and climbed the ladder on the back to look at the top, and some of the units from the top had been torn off by the branches as well. And we started thinking, if it starts raining, we don't know what sort of damage this could cause. So we took laundry baskets and we flipped them upside down to cover the holes in our roof, essentially. And we just kind of left it at that. And we spent the rest of the camping trip with masking tape all over our windshield and laundry baskets on our roof. Except there was one additional key part to this camping trip. We, a couple weeks prior, had decided we wanted to hatch eggs so that we could have chickens. And we did not plan ahead properly in doing this. So the chickens were supposed to hatch that weekend. So we took the incubator with us, and we had an incubator full of chicken eggs that were going to hatch in the next day, sitting on our kitchen table. So we've got masking tape covering the windshield, we've got laundry baskets on the roof, and we've got these chicks that are about to hatch on our kitchen table in an incubator. And so the weekend goes on, and we can start hearing little chirps coming out of the eggs, which is usually a sign that they're about to start hatching. And so there's this tiny window up at the very top that you can see through. My brother and I, every couple of minutes, we'd hear a chirp, and we'd run over and we'd look inside, and we'd try and fit both of our faces inside of this window, and we'd maybe get one eyeball in, and we'd just watch the chicks. And finally they started hatching. And the key thing with hatching chickens is you're not allowed to raise the lid of the styrofoam incubator, because then it interrupts the humidity and whatnot, so we couldn't touch them. And they're only allowed about 24 hours to hatch, because once the hatched chick is out, it can't sustain itself very much longer. So my brother and I, it was our first time hatching chicks, and we're watching these chicks and we're egging them on, and we keep hearing these chirps coming out of the box, and we're encouraging them to keep going and keep pushing themselves. And finally, 24 hours runs up, and it was a longer weekend, so this was Sunday, and we were still staying a couple more days. And we realized that we needed to get the chickens, the new chicks, out of the incubator. And so we took one of our leftover laundry baskets, and we lined it with towels, and we put it in the bathtub. And then we put the newly hatched chicks in the bathtub, in the laundry basket, with a heating lamp. So, Tuesday rolls around, and we're going to head back home from Lake Wallowa. We have the laundry baskets still on the roof. At this point, we decide we're going to take them off, because we're not going to drive down the freeway with laundry baskets on our roof. We left the masking tape on the windshield in case we hit another branch and the entire windshield fell off. And we had chicks in our bathtub, this tiny little motorhome bathtub, in a laundry basket with a heating lamp. And we drove home like that. And everything was fine. All the chicks made it, but that was the most interesting camping trip I think we've ever had.